Hey everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday, where I answer the questions that you have about your health and fitness goals. Now, I usually try to pick something that I hear either a lot of or something that's coming up quite, I don't know what's up with my lighting. It looked good, and then I started, and now it's like, meh, it just doesn't look good. So I don't want to be in the dark. So I usually try to pick something that is a common occurrence or something that a lot of people are talking about. And right now, one of the things I'm really discovering is that there's a lot of information out there that people aren't either understanding, hearing, or being able to incorporate into their knowledge when it comes to nutrition and health. So we're gonna talk a little bit about why you're not seeing progress, how to troubleshoot that and figure out what the problems are and what to do about it. I still am completely unhappy with the way the setup is today. I apologize. I will figure it out. I got a studio now, so that's awesome, but sometimes you still have to figure out some of the details on it. But let's get back to what we're talking about, which is why are you not seeing progress and what to do about it. So part of it is, there's so much misinformation out there right now. There's a lot of noise. You can follow a jillion people on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and you're like, well, if it worked for them, why does it not work for me? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, they might not be doing the right things. They might be seeing results despite the fact that they're doing this and that and whatever. Plus, what we've been taught when it comes to just our public information is completely incorrect. If you talk to any doctor or health person in general, they're probably going to tell you eat less, move more, which is way too vague of a guideline. And really, when it comes down to the details, really doesn't make a lot of sense because there's way too much there to talk about when it comes. It's just too general, right? So let's talk about a few things that might be preventing you from seeing progress. Now, if you're just starting and you're not seeing progress, then there's definitely probably some education that you need to search out for yourself, whether that's with a professional coach or a nutritionist or somebody. You really sometimes have to dig, because what I'm going to tell you is when it comes to nutrition, there's two schools of thought. There is the old way that makes absolutely zero sense and is kind of the reason why we are such an obese nation. And then there's this all interesting information where science is constantly providing us with new nutrition education and things just in general, biology wise, that all of a sudden we're going, oh, that's why we're not seeing progress. So it really kind of comes down to, you have to know how your body really works, and to just go to myplate.gov is not enough information and not appropriate for 90% of the population. So the first thing you really do is you need to take a look at your nutrition. So if you're someone who at the beginning of this year, just like every year, even though it's a weird year, has gone, I'm going to start working out every day, I'm going to get this gym membership, I'm going to go to the gym. While it might feel good because there's serious and huge benefits to exercise, there's other things that if you haven't tackled, it's not going to make any difference. So if you're going to the gym every day and not seeing results, you have to take a step back and look at your nutrition, because nutrition makes a way bigger difference than exercise ever will. So what I tell people when I first start working with them is that nutrition determines size, exercise determines shape. You cannot out-exercise a bad diet. And if you're not providing your body with the right ingredients, it's not going to build the body that you want. So it really kind of comes down to, you've got to do deeper education, because if you're just looking at calories, now, there's something to be said for burning more calories than you eat, but that is not the only thing that you need to be paying attention to, because macros do matter, because each macro does something different biologically within your body. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably do. It's just, really, Melissa, what are we talking about? We're talking about proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So the breakdown of those, the percentage that you should be eating, is really dependent upon your goals. But again, that's still not deep enough. You also have to talk about the quality of the calories that you're eating. So let's just kind of give you some general guidelines here. If you purchase something that is shelf stable in a box, doesn't have to be kept cold or frozen, really probably has more than a couple of ingredients, probably 4 or 5 or more, probably not something that's super healthy for your body. You cannot rely on what the packaging says. They want to sell you some. They want to sell you more than some. So whatever it is, whatever marketing tool that they're using, sometimes misleading, doesn't always tell you whether that product is healthy or not. So keep in mind that you really have to pay attention to what you're eating. I find it very fascinating. I've been working with a couple of people who really had no idea that things like white flour basically turns to glucose in your system immediately. So you don't think you're getting sugar spikes because you're not technically eating sugar, but that's what carbohydrates turn into in your system. So again, that's a very generic description of what happens. But again, if you're eating things with a lot of gluten, just processed products, it turns to sugar faster in your system. So you really have to pay attention. You know what, to me, the nutrition label on a packaging means nothing to me. It just doesn't. I pretty much just look at the nutrition label or the ingredient list to see what's in there, because anything ending in ose basically is sugar, and there's usually a lot of garbage in there that you don't even know what it is. If you don't know what it is, you probably shouldn't be putting it in your body. So pay attention. If you are not making progress, whether it's from day one or maybe you're at, week 50, if you're not making progress, it may have something to do with your nutrition. And there's more. There's some other things that play a role in there when it comes to your formula. But that's usually a big culprit because people don't understand what a big difference that makes. So that's usually number one. Also remember that, again, your body cannot burn fat in the presence of three things. Number one is insulin. So if you're eating a lot of sugar or even just way too much carbohydrates, especially ones that aren't complex, your body can't burn fat and deal with the insulin and store things at the same time. It just can't happen at the same time in your body. Number two, alcohol. Your body cannot burn fat while it's having to deal with a toxic product like alcohol. So whether that alcohol takes 1 day to get through your system or 2 or more, right? You can't drink on a regular basis and think that you're actually going to be able to burn fat. It's just not a biological possibility to happen at the same time. And we'll talk about the third one in just a minute. All right, number two, how is your sleep? Because not only does that nutrition make a difference in how your body responds to what you're doing, that nutrition also makes a difference on how well you sleep. How well you sleep makes a difference on whether or not you're able to reach your goals. So people don't realize that sleep actually trumps exercise. If you're not getting the right amount of sleep, there's literally no benefit to getting the exercise in because your body isn't getting what it needs when it comes to recovery and memory storage. And, it's kind of like, it's almost like the cleaning crew has to come in while you're asleep and clean up the things that happen within your system. Just like when you leave the office and you have a cleaning crew come in then to clean it all up. It's kind of the same deal. So when you don't get enough sleep, especially multiple nights in a row, that has some pretty catastrophic results when it comes to trying to reach your goals. It really is gonna play a huge speed bump in that. Number three, how's your stress levels, right? I know we've kind of experienced quite almost an entire year of craziness. And so a lot of us just in general in this day and age tend to have low levels of stress at all times. And when that happens, we tend to have this low level of cortisol, which is our fight or flight or our stress response. Your body cannot burn fat in the presence of cortisol. When cortisol is present, a lot of your systems don't function optimally or even shut down because normally it's a short-term thing, right? You get scared, you run away. That cortisol kind of helps you get away. It's the norepinephrine, the runaway, fight or flight, and then when you're done, it calms back down. But when you're constantly stressed out and that low level cortisol is always there, it's a real struggle to actually reach your goals because you're not ever in a fat burning period, right? So that can play a huge role there. We talked really quickly. I just want to touch again on food quality. It just can't be helped. Now, I actually think that anything that has more than a couple ingredients should not actually be called food. Because they got to come up with something better, like chemical garbage. I don't know. So I know that there's talk by a big name in the, I don't even want to call out people, but there are some people I'm not impressed with who should not be talking about science and nutrition, who are talking about coming up with just not real food and thinking that that's going to solve the world hunger problem. And I'm like, our bodies don't even deal with the garbage we're eating now. What makes you think that something that's completely modified out of who knows what is going to work for us? So keep in mind that quality plays a huge, huge role there. All right. Last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about plateaus because it happens for a lot of people. Really coming to a plateau usually starts when you very first start looking at working towards that goal. For most people, what ends up happening is they decide, hey, I want to lose weight, or in my terms, lean out a little bit. So the first thing they do is, okay, well, I'm going to go on a diet. I don't even like that word, but they think, okay, well, I want to lose, and they might even use a food calculator or whatever, a calorie calculator, and they come out with, okay, I should only be eating 1,200 calories, which is the biggest crock of crap that you're probably going to hear. Here's the issue. The smaller the car, the smaller the gas tank. If you are 250 pounds and you have 100 pounds to lose and you're only eating 1,200 calories, First of all, your body assumes you're starving. You might drop initially, but as soon as your body realizes, oh my gosh, she's not feeding me enough, your body will prevent you from burning fat because it is in survival mode. So when I was 210 pounds, and yes, I was 210 pounds and 46% body fat, I was eating 2,400 calories and losing weight. Now, I was burning close to 3,000 because I was just a bigger girl. And when I would move, I'd actually burn more calories. As I started to lose weight, and again, I don't even like that term, but at the time, that's really what happened. As I was losing weight, I started dropping my calories. Why plateaus predominantly happen is because people start too low with their calorie intake, thinking, well, if I eat lower now, I can lose it faster. Your body does not work that way. You can try to cheat the system all you want, but there are things put in place so that you don't starve. So one of the things that's going to happen is your metabolism slows down because it realizes you're not getting enough calorie intake. So it just slows all the processes down to preserve energy. The next thing that happens is you start producing the right hormones and start producing the wrong ones. So in this case, you don't produce enough leptin, right? So your body is always starving. You have ghrelin all the time. So then you start to crave. Your body does whatever it takes to make you eat. It has a survival protocol, right? It's going to make you hungry. It's going to make you crave. Then all you do is think about food. Then you start eating the wrong kinds of food because you realize, oh my gosh, I can't handle this anymore. And then you are into your vices, right? So again, if you want to avoid that plateau, you have to start high enough in your calories that your body, you still have to be at a deficit, but again, that's a very general term. But if your body assumes, wow, I'm getting enough to eat, I can actually get rid of some of this extra storage known as adipose tissue, right? So again, plateaus usually become because, or you might be thinking, okay, well, I've lost 50 pounds. How come I'm not losing anymore? Well, you're doing the exact same thing you did to lose that first 50 pounds. Again, the smaller the car, the smaller the gas tank. As you get smaller, leaner, weigh less, you're going to have to change your plan. Now, we talked a little bit about nutrition. That also comes down to maybe you need to increase from only doing 1 day of cardio a week to a couple days of cardio a week. What gets you to your goal is not going to be where you first started because your body changes, right? And it adapts really, really quickly. So there's going to be some times where it's going to fight you because what you want and what it wants are not the same thing. So again, you have to know how your body works and you have to work in a way. That's why you can't do this fast and keep it off because your body will rebel. It just will, because that's how biology works. That's how your body works. So keep that in mind, that plateaus usually come because you didn't start out at a point where you can make progress and continue after you start to get closer to your goal. So hopefully that helps. I know that's a pretty quick down and dirty way to troubleshoot, but if none of those work, if none of those apply, you might have to take a little closer look to your formula. There's other things that do make a difference. Are your hormones off? Is there something that you're sensitive to that you're eating or ingesting or in your environment that's keeping your body from working optimally and doing what it's supposed to? There usually is a way to figure it out. And if you can't do it on your own, 'cause sometimes that's hard, right? We're in our own heads and you need that extra pair of eyes, ears, that extra little bit of knowledge that can take a look and go, I've got it. I know what the problem is. It can help you find that troubleshoot and find that problem and fix it. So hopefully that helps somebody. I get my very best ideas from you. So if you have a question you want answered, please ask. It's never a stupid question because it's phenomenal how little information is out there. I mean, I've been working on this and researching for a decade and I learn something new every day, but I also read every day because I'm a huge nerd, but that's okay. So have an incredible week, you guys. Saturday, there will be Meals with Melissa. Always something fun. I always test it on my family, so it's always something that works. And of course, I love having a great database of really great recipes that are easy, taste good, and healthy for you. So until then, have an incredible week, you guys. Much love, respect, stay healthy.